one man who is a winner and who is absolutely.
Tell you something, brother.
Who are these people?
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Don't be rude.
Who are these people?
I still love it.
All right. Welcome to tonight's episode of Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm Angel Rivera. My co-host is Miss Witchy Perfect over here. And we have a fun-filled show for you guys tonight. And how are you doing tonight?
I am good. Like I said, this always happens to me whenever I get caught up with Jim Cornette. They bring another one out. I was just listening to it, and they're talking about the whole, Samantha Irvin thing, and Irvine, I think, is her last name. But I mean, it's just silliness at this point.
Yeah. Cornette talked about praise Samantha Irvin, quite frankly, and all they did was attack her or attack Cornette.
It's something against my wrestlers, even though you're right. I'm sorry. Brian is just a hoot. I'm telling you, Brian Last, he is a hoot. Hearing him, Hello, Coco.
Oh, how are you, Coco? Thank you for joining us tonight. Give us a like. So, what am I hearing? Oh, that's what it is. Oh yeah, it's just absurd. And then we'll get to it, but it's just too much. I mean, it's like Cornette doesn't care. It's like he's like the old school heel that is not bothered by any of this, any of this hate. So
yeah, I mean, there comes a point when, I agree with Brian Last, so I'm not going to say what he said because my son might be watching. Hi, Darren. I don't know. It's weird. How it's just weird. I can't believe anyone would say that kind of stuff on. Well, I can because it's AEW, guys. You have to remember that these guys think that that's what wrestling is supposed to look like, and fortunately for us, you and me, Angel, we're both old enough to remember the good wrestling, the 80s and 90s wrestling that we grew up with, and it wasn't the garbage that we see today.
Garbage. We'll get there later, but it's just I just wanted to preview. They're supposed to have their garbage main event. Next thing, the pay-per-view's tonight or not tonight. I think it's tomorrow night. Their pay-per-view.
What not Blacklash?
Double or Nothing. I think it is.
Oh,
I think it's tomorrow night. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't remember any WWF. Oops,
no, that's
WWE. I meant WWE.
No, that's next Saturday's King of the Ring. But
hi, son. That's my mom.
Welcome.
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay. Welcome. Thank you for joining us as well. Yeah, I think their pay-per-view is tomorrow night.
Yeah, where? Not Wembley, right?
No, it's the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
Of course, Las Vegas, where they can have ratings go.
Oh no, it's next Sunday.
It's next Sunday.
Yeah.
Thank the goddess for that. Otherwise, we would talk about bad wrestling.
Yeah, it's the MGM Grand in Vegas. So,
it is what it is. Let's put it that way, guys. Yeah, we've all seen the latest Dynamite ratings. Come on.
It's a joke. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up. We'll talk about it more later, I'm sure. Eddie Kingston was supposed to be in the main event of that pay-per-view. The that no disqualification garbage match they're gonna have against the Make-A-Wish NWL, the Elite. Anyway, he was in Japan a few days ago and he broke his leg.
Of course
he did it. Yeah, it was a garbage match. He was having in Japan, and he was suplexed through a table, and his leg must have got caught in something. He broke his leg, so now he won't be on the pay-per-view. So the moron lost out on a pay-per-view payday.
Of course he did.
because he decided to do a garbage match in Japan a week before.
But
And
won't Tony Khan still pay him?
I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
how. I mean, everyone was saying, "Oh, yeah, you should just go over to AEW." I think Jim was saying something about this.
mhm.
You should go over to AEW and take a billionaire's money. You see, he
Yeah,
wanted money. The only one who's going to curtail this whole thing is Papa Khan.
yeah. Because Tony's gonna pay him no matter what. It's, oh well, you were working in Japan. We like Japanese wrestling here, so he's not even gonna yell at him. He's not gonna get
Right.
mad at him. Nothing. He'll just give him his money because, hey, it was a great match though. At least. Oh, you broke your leg. You won't be in the main event. My pay per view. Okay.
All right, here's your money.
Yeah.
Here's your paycheck.
I couldn't believe it. It's like he did a garbage match in Japan and broke his leg. I mean, if any other promoter that would happen to, they'd be like, "What the heck are you doing? You broke your leg a week before my pay per view, which I expect to draw money in this big main event."
Yeah, and I think even Triple H would be like, "Sorry, no,
Mm-mm.
you're not going to draw us any money, so sorry. Better luck next time."
Yeah, don't go to Japan and break your leg. Anyway, WWE doesn't let their wrestlers like do like these matches outside WWE. Well, these days they do, but it's like very rare, and they pick and choose what match the wrestler has.
I was going to say, don't they let him go to Japan anymore?
Yeah, they do. William
Okay.
Regal's son, Charlie Dempsey, that's William Regal's son. He did a match in All Japan recently, but it wasn't a garbage match. It wasn't a garbage match. It was like a
Of
regular
course not.
one-on-one match because they didn't want him getting hurt.
Of course not.
Yeah, because they're smart. And yeah, so we'll talk about AEW probably later. Eddie Kingston broke his leg like the fool that he is, and he'll be he's done. He's out of the pay. Oh, you know who they replaced him with? Darby Allin.
Wait a minute. Time out. Go
Yeah.
backwards. Wait, the Darby Allin that got hit in the face with a bus.
Yeah, he came back
And broke his
on
foot.
Wednesday. Yeah, he came back Wednesday night. Apparently, he's the one replacing Eddie Kingston,
Okay.
which makes no sense.
Angel, then he really didn't break his foot because, no offense, I broke my leg and I was out for, I think my mom can attest to this, I was out for a long time from school. A long time. Now, I know these guys are in tremendous shape, but still, I mean, when I broke my leg, I literally had to be carried everywhere.
Well,
So
yeah,
I can't imagine breaking a foot.
Yeah, he broke his foot. He also got run over by a bus and somehow survived
In the
New
face.
York. He got hit in the face on a bus, and he's
In the face. I mean,
yeah, dude,
was he doing this?
Yeah, don't here. This is what you do. It's what you learn when you're a kid.
Yeah, you look both ways. What did our moms teach us? You look both ways and make sure nothing's coming. That's how I teach my son as well.
Yeah,
you look both ways and make sure nothing's coming. And you don't run out in front of a car or a bus.
He managed to get run over by a bus. He managed to get run over by a bus. And somehow 3 weeks later, he's back and he is going to work a garbage match in the main event of Double or Nothing next Sunday.
Speaking of Double or Nothing.
So this is the lawsuit update. Janelle Grant suing Vince in WWE for reasons. They did bad things to them. So to her, WWE's filed a motion to compel arbitration. We kind of touched on it last week a little bit, where WWE has also filed a motion to basically agreeing with Vince McMahon's motion to compel arbitration. So I'm not gonna go through this whole thing. I'm just gonna go through the tweets. WWE has also filed a 24-page memorandum of support. WWE disputes Grant's allegations, but as a threshold matter, this dispute cannot be heard in court because Grant agreed to arbitrate her claims. WWE therefore moves to compel arbitration in this case. WWE's lawyer, simply put, Grant has no claims actionable in this court because the separation of non-disclosure agreements he signed with McMahon and WWE, the monetary benefits which he concedently accepted and retained, contains an arbitration proceeding or provision. WWE says the question of what parts of this dispute should be handled in arbitration as opposed to open court, that issue itself should be decided by an arbitrator. Going to arbitration, which all three defendants are pushing for, would mean the case would move to. Wait, I think there's more down here. WWE. The court need not and indeed should not consider Grant's claim fall within the scope of the arbitration provision because the agreement requires the issue of arbitrariety to be decided by an arbitrator. I think I butchered that word, but that's fine.
Is he just trying to say the same word over and over again in different instances?
Yeah, this is WWE's motion that they filed. So the attorney, this is like lawyer double talk here. WWE says even if the court disagrees that arbitrariety, again, that's the word I butchered, should be decided by an arbitrator, this should still go to arbitration because the arbitration clause of the NDA states any dispute arising under or out of this agreement, its construction, its interpretation, application, performance or breach, that the arbitration is the sole and exclusive legal method to resolve any and all disputes and or controversies. WWE argues against Grant's claims that the Speak Out Act and the victims of that should make the NDA unenforceable because those laws don't pertain to arbitration. So that's a mouthful, but basically the argument is that she agreed to a contract. There was a clause in that contract that says that any disagreements has to be in arbitration, not in federal court, and that the court should go to grant their motion and go to arbitration over court. So that's the update.
So, layman's terms, it's invalid because she spoke out and broke the deal, basically. Even though it's an NDA and blah, 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 we hate NDAs, of course, because they quelter free speech. But to go on top of that, layman's terms is that she shouldn't have broken the NDA, and that's why Vince stopped paying her. Now, she has $1 million. Yeah, she has $1 million. Give me $1 million and see what I do with it. Okay.
Yeah, if WWE Grant claims that the Speak Out Act and the victims of the Protecting Act makes the NDA unenforceable because those laws don't pertain to arbitration. Look,
Apparently not.
That claim is questionable because Vince McMahon has never been charged with any crimes under what happened to her, or at least not yet.
Right, it was all civil.
Yeah, in order for a court to say, oh yeah, I mean, these NDAs are unenforceable, I mean, I think that you would have to be some sort of criminal charges or a conviction at the very least, because it's just to, it's the judge hasn't ruled on these motions yet. We'll see. I'm not sure when he's scheduled to rule, but if he rules that arbitration, it have to go to arbitration, the case is pretty much over because the arbitrator would handle most of those matters, that disagreement. But at the same time, if it doesn't go to arbitration, it goes to trial, then it would stay in federal court, and it would go to trial unless they start settling. I'm sure if they go to trial, WWE will settle, just give her some money to go away. Because at this point,
that usually means guilt. Where I don't think it's guilt here.
No,
I think this is just, this is bad. Sorry, I can't even talk today. This is bad publicity. So,
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be a clause.
Yeah, okay, Vince's mustache.
I told you that everything I did, Vince is innocent. Yeah, I mean, what was that? Yeah, I mean, it's WWE will settle and they will try to get out of this lawsuit. And I'm sure there's going to be some sort of contract saying we're not admitting any guilt. It's just that it'd be cheaper just to settle than go through a trial. Right. Meanwhile, will Vince settle? Probably not. I mean, he's one of these guys who fights every single case. He's gonna spend. Right. He'll spend he even hundreds of millions. Ventura. Yeah, he fought him all the way to the Supreme Court.
Speaking of Jesse Ventura, we should definitely talk about that just real quick.
Mhm.
Before we get on to another topic, apparently Jesse Ventura is definitely in talks with WWE. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I mean, he said it now a second time,
Why?
somewhere.
Jesse, honey, come here. If you're watching, Jesse, I love you, but no, this is not good. Jesse, I don't think you're all there. Sorry, I'm just trying to be a friend. Okay? I'm just being a friend.
He Yeah, it's the second time he said it, so it wasn't the first. If it was just one time with the Vanguard and he's working them, because those two guys were like, Jesse's on our show. If he's working them just once, it's like, okay, he's working them. I mean, that's what I thought initially. Like, what role would he have in WWE? What are they going to do with him? But now he said it again, that he's some other interview where it's like, oh yeah, I'm in negotiations with WWE because Vince is gone,
Yeah,
and I
that's
didn't
what
want to
I
work
saw
with
on X.
Vince.
I was just like, oh my gosh, come on, Jesse. You got to be kidding me. You're pushing 75, 76, Jesse. You're no
I
better
don't.
than Vince himself.
I don't. Vince also says he never settles. Always needs a new bossy. He never said. No, he never settles. I mean,
No, that's just it. That's why I mentioned Jesse Ventura.
there's no way he went all the way to the Supreme Court with Jesse, and ultimately they ruled in his favor. And right after the case was decided, Vince, I remember he told the story. He called Jesse. It's like, oh, this
I
is
know
my
tomorrow.
money. My money. It's like, no, Vince, it's my money. And he hung up on him because he was yelling. He was really angry at Jesse.
Yeah, I was
No,
surprised he let
Vince.
him back as he was. He did come back for like one night. I saw
Yeah,
highlights about it, and I'm just like,
he did come.
why, Jesse? Why?
I was watching. It was a clip I think on YouTube with Jesse coming back to WWE in 2009. He
Right.
did one night. He was the
Yep.
guest host. Vince was doing that guest
Yep.
host thing at the time. It was awful. I
Yeah,
mean,
because when I liked the Steelers, when I didn't think the NFL was rigged, because it is, my favorite football player, Ben Roethlisberger, was actually on. He was a guest host as well
yes, he
in like
was.
2008 or 9,
Yeah, Vince was doing
10.
that terrible guest host thing at the time, where they were the guest host had the power. He was a GM and had the power for that one night. And I'm like, they brought in Jeremy Piven. They brought in Jesse did one night. They brought
Mm-hmm.
in
Was
Bob
Brett
Barker. They did. I don't
Brett a
think
part
Brett
of
ever
that?
did it. He might have been. He might have been a guest host. Yeah, at the time he was just coming back then.
I was gonna say because I saw something with him and with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, your dad put me through a lot. And of course, Joe, being the heel that he is, said, yeah, I don't care. Like that. But just that one time when Joe was like, I wish my dad was here. I'm like, oh, honey, he is. And he's very, very proud of you.
I'm
Call
glad
it
that he.
intuition.
Yeah, I'm glad that he never went to AEW because I thought for sure he would end
Oh
up
my
there.
gosh. I'm so glad that Joe did not go to AEW because not only would they break his body, but that also his spirit. And Joe deserves so much more than any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Mastermind? Ew.
Yeah, I
When are
don't
you
know.
talking about the poo-poo on the head? I don't know. I thought maybe that was an accident. I mean, Vince is 80.
Yeah.
I thought it was
And
like, oh, sorry, dude. I farted it. Apparently it was a wet one. You know what I mean?
yeah, it
Oh,
was.
I should have said farted. My
Yeah.
son will get that farting song. Oh my gosh. Only my son would find a farting song. Anyway. But yeah, I thought honestly that was an accident.
I hope
I was
so.
like,
The-
ooh,
the-
boy.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse's apparently in negotiations with WWE. I don't know what they're gonna do with him if they do end up signing him.
Well,
Yeah.
he can't
Anyway,
wrestle anymore. I
no,
know he
no, no.
works
Like,
out. But I mean, Jesse, to be honest, I just don't think you're all there. When I talked to him, he just didn't seem like he was all there.
mm-hmm.
And I'm being nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's older now and 75, and on top of that, I don't know what they would do with him unless they stick him on commentary for
I
the.
mean, they just took Lawler off, and he's what, 70, almost 80.
Yeah, Lawler had another mini stroke, according
Yeah.
to Dutch Mantel.
Yeah,
Dutch Mantel
yeah.
speak to
So, I
him.
mean, and Lawler's been in it. I mean, my mom can remember this with Haystacks Calhoun.
Yeah, he started work.
He was as old as that.
He started his career in the mid to late 70s. I mean, he's been, and he was still wrestling until very recently. He was still wrestling independence until very recently.
Yeah.
When he had the heart attack on Raw, that's when pretty much stopped working. But he still came back for a few matches, you know.
Well, and they didn't extend his contract, and they were talking about that on Jim Cornette. You know, oh well, you know, he's a little up in years now, and even JR. I didn't know JR smoked, but JR smokes, and I'm like, okay, didn't know that.
He's like a chimney on his podcast. What I've seen of him,
gosh,
he's like,
I'm like, well, no wonder he got cerebral palsy.
He smokes quite a bit, so he's like, I'm not sure. He's not one of those chain smokers. He might be, you know, where he finishes, he does this, and then he keeps smoking.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he's been so. Yeah, Dutch Mantel recently said on his podcast that Jerry Lawler had another mini stroke. So they didn't renew his contract, but he still has a Legends contract. So he's not totally gone from WWE, but his announcer's contract and not renewing, which I understand because what are they going to do with him? You put him on commentary? He had multiple strokes.
Does Jesse have a Legends contract? That's my question.
I don't think so. Vince, I think, would never give him one.
And that's
he sued him multiple times.
Right. So there's that, and you know, just with Vince gone already, people think that he's up to no good and gonna start his own. Like, he's gonna start his own wrestling, you know, promotion. Wait, he did that back way before when it was his father's. And he took it national. What are you talking about? He's going to start his own. He did start his own. The WWE is his baby. His baby. Little baby.
But he does have one. He does have over $1 billion in cash, which is when he sold off all his stock in TKO, which is the parent company WWE.
I get that.
So what are you going? He's going to do something with that money. I don't know what.
Okay, but invest in like an island onto yourself, Vince. Yeah, because I'm telling you, your little baby is literally the WWE. You built it. You helped your father helped your father build it from the ground up and took it national. Okay, great. That's your baby.
His dad never took it national, so basically that was what he did.
That was his baby.
So
I gotta say a little shout out to Kit Cabello. Love ya. Okay, now
he took it national in '84. He bought it from his dad in '83.
Right,
and I
his
remember
dad
because
passed in what, '84,
85 or '86. No, he was still alive in '83. I think he passed in '85.
Okay, well,
let me see, because he might have been there for the first WrestleMania. Unless I'm wrong. Let's see. He passed away in 1984.
I was right.
So he was there for the first WrestleMania. I think it was April '84 or March '84 was first WrestleMania.
Yep.
Because he had pancreatic cancer,
Mm-hmm.
which is what killed him ultimately. Which is why he sold to his son. He sold it to.
But nobody
Junior.
knew that at the time. Everyone just thought Vince Jr. was a commentator and not really involved in his father's business.
Yeah,
nobody knew also that he actually bought the company from his dad.
No,
but nobody knew that at the time unless you were an insider.
That was never acknowledged on television, especially in the 80s. The first time Vince was acknowledged as the owner was like in 96-ish, 97.
96, 97, because it was, again, with the Brett and the Montreal Screwjob thing that led to the Austin versus McMahon thing, which, again, everyone knew, the evil boss is keeping his employee down. But push the microphone 6 inches away. So, can you step back from your microphone? Apparently, you're scritchy scratchy. Yeah. Can you? Is that good?
Yeah, I can move it. It's just
okay.
No, this chair is crap. That's why I move around. It's not, it's not like I'm doing it on purpose. Chair is crap, so I apologize for the mic. I mean, I hope that it's better now. And I usually put it here because. That way, this is actually
I'm trying
a pretty
to stay
good
back
mic.
from my mic.
So this is this is like nearly $100 mic, so it should be fine here. But I always put it close as a habit. But all right, yeah, that should be fine. But what was I saying? I don't remember. It was something about Vince and WWE.
The fact that Vince is, I mean, he's 80 years old, and I don't think, guys, he's going to start. I honestly don't think he's going to start his own wrestling promotion again. I mean, not that he started the first one, is technically his dad.
Oh, that's what I
started
was
it,
talking about.
and his grandfather. Well, his grandfather, actually, I think. Anyway, let's get back to. I just don't think that Vince is going to start another wrestling promotion. Again, he's 80 years old, for heaven's sakes.
He might.
My opinion for you would be to go buy your own island. No offense to Jeffrey E. But just go buy your own island, honey, because you've done well. Okay. The WWE is bigger and badder than it's ever been. You've done well. Now go take a vacation. Okay. And take a long one.
It's okay, Mastermind. I mean, who is popping? Please let me know. I don't want to have audio issues because I don't hear any popping on my end. It's fine. So if you hear popping,
which is weird.
That's fine. I mean, at least it should be better now. So
maybe I've learned to ignore it. I'm sorry, Angel.
That's all right. All right. So Vince Jr. took it national and did what he did, but let's see. Let's move on from that. No, I don't need that. So I don't know what role Jesse would have in WWE except for a commentator, because they're doing the Saturday night's main events again, most likely.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either, because usually that was the Jesse thing. That's why they wanted to do the whole, Saturday main event. NBC wanted to do it, and they had to have Jesse. That was the qualifications.
Yeah, which is the story when Vince fired him after he did Predator.
Right. Because he did Predator.
Yeah, he fired him. And then after that, he signed that deal with NBC for Saturday night's main event, but they thought they were getting Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura. They weren't getting Jesse. He was gone. So they were unhappy about that. They wanted Jesse. So it's like, so Vince followed his pride and called Jesse. It's like, okay, do you want to come back? It's like, yeah, I'll come back for more money. Oh, and by the way, I also have to do The Running Man, which is another Schwarzenegger movie he did.
I wish I had seen that. I haven't seen that all the way through yet. I'm sorry.
Wow.
But I haven't seen The Running Man all the way through yet. I will, I promise. The one movie I liked was, I literally liked Abraxas, which was in 1990.
That one I never saw.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. It is like the Terminator. It's a spinoff of like the Terminator.
I have to look that up then.
He plays like a space policeman going after a rogue guy who impregnates a girl with a kid that doesn't talk.
Yeah,
I know. It's really crazy, but like he ends up falling in love with the girl, and the kid really likes him. So
Vince
and his son was in it. Tyrell's in it too.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
So just real quick, it turns out that the Saudis are in negotiations to do WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia.
Oh boy.
So I came across this earlier in the week. It's chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, Turki Al-Alishki, says that, that's not how you pronounce it, but that's the way I did it. Says that they are in talks about holding a Royal Rumble and WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia for 2026 or 2027.
Not a Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
they want both?
It says Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. They said it right there.
Oh boy.
So the wrestlers, if that's agreed to, the wrestlers would literally have to go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which is like a 20-hour flight for Royal Rumble, fly back for a few months, and then fly back in April to Saudi Arabia to do WrestleMania, 2 nights of WrestleMania. And by the way, the whole week of WrestleMania access.
How about
in that desert? And they want, WWE expects them to do that probably.
And those women have to wear those beekeeper suits. If I would, no offense, but if I were a woman, I would be like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, and then they expect, because WWE WrestleMania gets fans from all over the world to travel to the United States to do to buy seats and buy these travel packages and stuff. So yeah, so they're gonna expect all their fans to travel to the desert for the Royal Rumble and for WrestleMania. That desert, which is an authoritarian regime that is ultra religious, and women have to be covered from head to toe in the desert.
And they have to have a man with them. Is that right?
Yeah, the chaperone thing. I don't know. They might have reformed that where women that come from other countries don't have to have a chaperone. It was a slight reform on that by Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or Crown Prince. So Mohammed bin Salman. So yeah, that then they called him a reformer in the New York Times. It was absurd. It's like, no, he did slight reforms, and then you give him credit for that. Like,
Oh, they don't reform.
yeah, it's like the Obama effect. Obama did tiny little reforms and then acted like he was an historic change president when he wasn't. So it's very
Okay,
similar.
so my
to
son's
that.
no longer watching, so we can go ahead and swear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently he found something else to do.
Okay. Well, at least he got to watch a little bit, so that's fine. I mean, all right. So this is 26 seconds. I just wanted to there.
Saudi Arabia as well later on this month. That's WWE. So,
and we are talking in the future about WrestleMania and Royal Rumble.
wow, could that be possible for next year's Royal Rumble? I know WrestleMania will be in Vegas, but could it be next January in Saudi Arabia?
We are talking around 26, 27.
Okay. Is there any Saudi Arabia as well later on this month?
They're admitted in their negotiations WWE to hold the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia in 26 or 27.
I'll pass. Thanks.
Most fans we do not like this. No way WrestleMania should get a Saudi Arabia should get a WrestleMania before London.
I wouldn't even do it before. I wouldn't even go to London.
Yeah, the whole foreign WrestleMania thing. I think it goes to because now if it goes to Saudi Arabia, it has a 12 o'clock afternoon start time, a bell time.
Right.
Because next Saturday's King of the Ring has a 12 o'clock bell time. So we would have to on Saturday afternoon. So that's why we're going to do the show normally next week. It's not going to be rescheduled because by the time we start the show at 8, the pay-per-view will be long over anyways. So yeah, we're going to be on schedule next week. So it's not like I have to change the start time because of the pay-per-view. We don't. But yeah, I don't like the idea of foreign WrestleMania in foreign markets. Because then it means weird start times, and we would have to watch that. And
not only that, but I mean, look at the fans. The fans in France. Look what they did with AEW. They were cheering, or no, it wasn't. It wasn't AEW. It was Backlash, right?
Backlash, yeah.
Backlash. So they were cheering for every little freaking thing, and I'm great that fans are enthused in Europe and in the Middle East, but guys, you're taking it up a notch. It's not really that good. And I mean, we were already predicting it was going to be probably AJ Styles versus Cody, and Cody was going to retain. Mm-hmm. But I mean, what can I say when it comes
it's
to
too much?
It's way too much. It's over the top.
Oh yeah, the Frenchman in it wasn't even Paris. It was somewhere else in France. Yeah, they were they reacted to every little thing. It gave me a headache, honestly, towards the end of the show. It's like
that's why you watched it. I didn't.
yeah, I watched it live and it was so bad. It was like, oh.
But just from the way Jim Cornette talked about it, it was like, okay, guys, calm down. It's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Andre the Giant was back.
Yeah, they were trying. It was clear to me they were trying to hijack the show. Excuse me, because they were trying to hijack the show because how loud they were, to the point where I couldn't hear the commentary, and that's not good when you block out. You manage to block out the commentary, and there's something wrong there. You know what I mean? We should be able to hear the commentary. Like at WrestleMania, it was really loud, or at least night 2 was. Night 1 was dead quiet. Night one was dead quiet because it was like 40 degrees in Philadelphia. I mean, it was cold. People were trying to stay warm instead of, like yelling and
Well,
screaming.
but I didn't really like night one, the way it I just kind of like,
Yeah, night
and
one
then like
sucked.
night two, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, Cody finished the story. And I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to freak anybody out about that. I was just kind of like, well, they kind of said on X that they were going to go maybe in this direction and not have Cody win the belt. So I was kind of like, well, I didn't want anyone to get their
Would have
hopes
been,
up.
yeah, that would, if Cody would have lost, that would have been like a Starrcade 97 moment because it would have killed him off as a
Mhm.
main eventer. And they got it right. They actually put over the right guy. Because that would have been like a Starrcade 97 moment. And the
Right.
difference is, I don't think Roman Reigns was politicking to retain the title. I think he was tired of being champion, to be honest.
Yeah, you
Because
had it for 4 years, dude.
yeah,
Enough is
he was,
enough.
yeah. Because I'm not sure you saw this part, but when Cody hit his finish on him, he had a smile on his face, like the burden. The burden's taken off him finally.
And he hugged Paul.
Yeah,
Paulie.
on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't show this on camera, but the fans, caught it in cell phone footage. He was hugging Paul Lee.
Yep.
Like this burden's finally off of him.
I guess. What is he doing with himself? Does anyone know what happened to Roman Reigns? Is he on wrestling anymore, or is he doing Hollywood like The Rock?
He's at home right now because they caught him at in Florida at one of the theme parks, either Universal Studios or something.
Yeah, doesn't
with
he
his
have a couple of
family.
kids?
Yeah, with his family. So, yeah, I don't think he's doing anything right now. He's just sitting at home, which is weird. You would assume he would do some sort of movie, but he really hasn't been, as far as I know, at least. So, yeah, he just went off home. I assume he'll be back by like SummerSlam or maybe later, but for now he's gonna stay home. Which he's been champion 3.5 years, and I was like, if they keep the belt on Roman just to break Hogan's like 4-year title run, that would have been like it would have been so obvious and would have killed off Cody. It would have turned fans against Triple H because it's like, oh well, the only reason we had the belt on him for him to break Hogan's 4-year title run. And meanwhile, that wasn't even the record. Bruno held the title for 8 years. Like, he
Yeah.
got
Hogan
anywhere
did
near
too.
that.
Well, close.
Who?
Close to 8 years.
Who?
I think Hogan had it for what, 4 or 5?
He had it for 4 years and like a couple months. Like he didn't get to anywhere close to 8.
Yeah.
And he dropped it to Andre in like the wackiest finish ever. I'm not sure you remember the finish, but it was the evil twin referee, Earl Hebner.
Yeah. Hi,
In
Andy.
88. Yeah, in 88. Hi, Andy. Yeah. It was in 88 at the main event show where Hulk dropped the belt to Andre like 4 minutes. And it was because of the crooked referee, evil twin referee, which was like one of the...
That was
It
a
was
double
one...
cross, right?
Yeah, it was... Earl Hebner was supposed to be the referee, but he has a twin brother named Dave, I think.
Dave, yep, David.
And they were both in the ring, and they both had the referee. They were identical twins, or they are, so you can tell who was which. So, and Hogan was screwed out of the title because he wouldn't put Andre over clean. I mean, no, brother, it doesn't work for me, So then Andre sold.
Did Ted DiBiase have a referee something? I know he helped Mr. Perfect once.
I don't think so. But he might have paid. I think the story was he paid off one of the Hebners to, come in and count the fall. And then Andre sold the WWF title to Ted DiBiase.
Right. That was in 88. And that was against
when Hogan dropped
right?
it. Yeah.
That's when Hogan dropped it. Right. And then at WrestleMania 4, Randy Savage was the champion because he won it in a tournament from Ted DiBiase.
Yeah. So they
wrestled
won.
He won 4 or 5 times that night.
Yeah, he wrestled
like 2 or 3.
It was that tournament because Andre sold the title to Ted DiBiase. In fact, in some live events, they announced Ted DiBiase's WWF champion. So they did, in some houses.
And that's when Jack Tunney, walked in and said, "Oh, you can't do that. By the way, that's illegal according to the rules that I just made up."
Yeah, because it was a violation of WWF bylaws. Which, in other words, the rules, even though there is no such thing. But yeah, that was the storyline they went with. And then they held up the title, and then did the tournament at WrestleMania 4 in New Jersey, and in the former president's place, let's say. So
yes. Former person who will not be named because we will get demonetized for some unknown reason. But yes,
yes,
go ahead.
and that's when Randy won the world title.
Right.
Because Hulk and Andre was in that tournament, and anybody would assume that Hulk would have won it again, but they did the in the first round they did the disqualification thing with Andre and Hogan,
Right.
which again Andre could barely move by then, so it was like Hulk. They did like a 4 or 5 minute match, and it was a disqualification. I think Hogan got disqualified, if I remember correctly, because he used a chair.
Yeah, but then that was the whole start of the Mega Powers thing.
Yeah,
Remember
and
that?
then by the end of the night, Hogan helped Savage win the world title. Because he had Ted DiBiase in the chair and went in the back. And even though it was Hogan inserting himself into the main event again. I mean, because he had no reason to do that. Randy's a babyface then. I mean,
well,
Randy
let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah. Instead, here comes Hogan with a chair inserting himself in the main event. Yeah, I mean that's cool. That's a cool intro.
I mean, it makes me laugh every time. Don't be rude. But the Hogan, let me tell you something, brother. Speaking of Hogan, there were more news about Hogan lying again, making stuff up. Apparently, the newest lie about Hogan is he is trying to convince people that Vince McMahon was he wanted to put the Ultimate Warrior over in the 1990s, and this would be WrestleMania 6 when this happened. And Hogan had pitched an idea to Vince that he should go heel and be Triple H.
So he wanted.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
That story was. This is 1990 when he dropped the belt to Warrior, and Warrior is supposed to be the next top guy.
Right.
So when he dropped the belt, why he didn't want to turn heel? I know that because he had a movie coming out. I'm not sure what movie it was, but he had a movie coming out. And there was no reason he wasn't going to turn heel. In fact, he resisted a heel turn in 95 when he was in WCW.
Right, until he saw what was going on with the NWO, or at least the Outsiders, Hall and Nash.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to be that ultimate third mystery guy for the NWO. And
it was 96.
Right.
When he finally turned heel.
Yeah, and then finally it was like Hogan wanted a piece of that NWO pie because he knew they had something.
Yeah, he knew.
But I mean, it first of all, Hunter Hearst Helmsley was a blue blood snob from Greenwich, Connecticut. Well, first of all, in 1990, we already had them. We already had a snob. It was called the $1 Million Man. He was a millionaire, and he was a snob. He could get anybody he wanted. Everybody has a price. Isn't that what he would always say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and about our government, he was way ahead of his time for our government as well.
Yeah.
Everybody has their price, and apparently it's not that much. Okay. So I digress. But I mean, why would he be called First of all, Triple H wasn't Triple H at the time. It was Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, he debuted in 95.
Came over like a lead balloon.
Yeah, he debuted in 95 as Hunter Hearst Helmsley. If anybody remembers, he would curtsy. Like, he would do the whole curtsy thing.
He would curtsy thing.
Yeah, and at the time, that was was kind of sus. That's kind of sus, let's say that in 95. I mean, we said, I mean, all right, folks, this is at the time, this is 30 years ago, but we would say that's sus, he's pretty, it's pretty, yeah, I mean, it's like, that was suspicious, it's like, wait, is he straight? Or I don't understand. Why would he do this?
Well, then he had the lady valets.
Yeah.
Again, this is where Mr. Perfect would come in, and Mr. Perfect would kind of take his lady valets and walk out with them, meaning that he, was taking them from him. Yeah. But I mean, and no offense to Curt, but I mean, Curt was sexier. Anyway.
But Hunter had the nose.
He had the rules, and The ladies would always like stare at him while he was, because he was he was a snob. He was a
Yeah.
rich guy who could get anything he wanted, any woman he wanted. And that was the thing. And then when he changed it to Triple H, it was more like he was over in the business, or at least he thought he was over in the business. He was the game. What kills me is that he says, "Oh, I was the king of kings." I went, oh, "This ain't church, boys."
Yeah.
And I don't think Hunter Hearst Helmsley or Paul Levesque. I don't think Paul Levesque can walk on water.
No.
To be honest.
So yeah, I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, that lie.
Hogan can't walk on water either.
I don't
no matter
understand.
how much he begs a Christian.
Like, I don't
network.
understand where that lie even came from. I mean, why would he say that? I mean, he's like, yeah, I wanted to be Triple H before Triple H, and I'm not sure if he was trying to say that he pitched the character of the game to Vince back in 1990, or he actually wanted to be called Triple H. That was what kind of confused me.
I think it's maybe maybe Hogan thought that Triple H had so much hype and so much recognition that maybe it always has to revolve around Hogan.
Yeah.
And this is where we say, him and someone who shall not be named, or the current sitting president who shall not be named, where they have those narcissistic tendencies. So try saying that 5 times fast. And they just think it's all about them. So it's always about me. Whatever it is that I had something to do with it. I had something to do with Warriors fame. I had something to do with, fill in the blanks fame. I'm surprised he didn't take credit for Stone Cold Steve Austin's fame, which I'm sure he will.
At some point, because, well, the only thing was Hogan buried Steve Austin's push in WCW.
Right.
Back in '94 when he first debuted, because Steve Austin was supposed to wrestle Flair for the WCW title. But then Hogan came in, and all of a sudden it was switched. Austin was gone, and Hogan got the belt instead. Allegedly, Austin was supposed to get the WCW title. I'm not sure how much I believe that, whether Flair going to put him over or not. But
yeah, you had 2 factors there, 2 narcissistic idiots who, we saw Flair drunk as a skunk last week, and then of course we saw Hogan can't stop lying and making stuff up.
Yeah, and the 700 Club, where he claimed that he changed his story, because initially he said Piper called him from the grave. Now in 700 Club, he said he got a text from Piper.
At this point, it's just, you can't walk on water, Hogan, no matter how much you beg a Christian network. Sorry, not sorry.
I was like, he went on. I was like, what? Hogan did because I saw his promo for it, which was a classic 1980s Hogan promo, even though that was 40 years ago.
Right.
But he talked about how, brother, doing the 700 Club, brother. Check it out here, brother. Brother. So
that don't work for me, Hogan.
Yeah. So
let me tell you something, brother.
He ruined Steve Austin's push. He ruined multiple WrestleMania 9. He ruined that too, and he got Vince to give him the belt for no reason. That's a whole nother thing, a whole nother drama for another day.
Well, and shame on Vince McMahon for falling for it, because literally he ended up in WCW anyway.
He would at least this is how Vince claimed the story went, because this is what Bret Hart said to Vince, or Vince said to him. He's like, well, we're going to give Terry the belt tonight, but don't worry, he's going to drop it to you at SummerSlam, 94, and he's going to submit to your sharpshooter. So don't worry about it. You're good. You're going to get the title back.
Yeah.
And Bret,
you remember
was like,
Hogan at SummerSlam? Because I don't remember that.
No, he never made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he and then Bret was like, oh, did you talk to Terry about it? So, oh, no, not yet. But oh yeah, we will. He'll agree to it. Trust me, I'll talk him into it. He was like, yeah. I don't think Hogan ever tapped out until he was a heel in WCW. He never submitted to submission hold. I don't know. I think Vince was just lying to Bret and make him feel better, and then then give him the whole BS thing about Brett says there was a poster taken, a photo with him and Hogan with the WWF title for SummerSlam. They were like a tug of war. Brett swears there's a poster because they took the photos for it. Him and Hogan with WWF
I
title.
think I might have seen it, maybe on X, just in passing.
Yeah, Brett swears there's a poster. It's like an urban legend at this point because nobody actually ever seen the real poster for SummerSlam '94 with Hogan and Brett on it. So yeah, that's like Brett swears there's a poster because it did take the photos. Them doing tug of war with WWF title. He swears there's a poster. I don't know if he's ever seen it because I'm sure, I'm not sure he's ever, because the match didn't happen. So I don't know if they ever printed the posters or they just took photos for it and never printed it because Hogan nixed the idea and then dropped the belt back to Yokozuna, which made the whole WrestleMania title change pointless and buried Yokozuna because he lost in like less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And of course,
it was a mess.
And of course, Hogan couldn't get beat by Yokozuna clean, so he had to use the whole cameraman, the camera bit where it exploded in Hogan's face. And then he hit him with his leg drop and pinned him. Hogan couldn't take his finish, of course, which was a bonsai drop. So he dropped the leg on him and just pinned him. Like Hogan, take his finish. I mean, put it over. I mean,
but a narcissist doesn't do that, do they?
No, it's like imagine WrestleMania 40. Roman's like, oh yeah, Cody's gonna beat me, but no, I can't take his finish. He can beat me any other way.
Took his finish 3 times.
Yeah, so you could tell that But meanwhile, Hogan like, oh no, brother. I mean, this camera blows up in my face. I'll fall, hits me with a leg drop, and pin me, and then I'll leave. Vince was like, okay. It's like, why does he always cater to Hogan? I'll never know.
Hogan just talked his way in and then talked his way into WCW.
Bischoff went to his house, and as the story goes, Hogan like said, okay, this is what I would, you would have to pay me to go to WCW.
Right.
And there was no negotiation. Bischoff was like, he took it to Ted Turner, and Ted Turner's like, okay, yeah, bring him in. And that was it. And there was no negotiation.
Well, and then remember the story Bischoff told where he went to his house and said, hey, we think you should turn heel. And he's like, yeah, no.
If you ever walk a mile in my yellow boots, then you know why I can't turn heel. That's exact words Eric Bischoff said. And then he kicked him out of his house. He's like,
out of his house.
Yeah, take the beer that I gave you, and I got to go pick up my kids from school. So I'll see you later. That was 95. By 96, he saw he saw how over the outsiders were, and he's like, yeah, I got to get involved.
He knew that was going to get hot somehow. I don't know. Yeah. Hogan has an eye for stuff that's going to get hot, but when Hogan was in it, it was almost like maybe Scott Hall said this, I think, or Kevin Nash said it. He kind of killed it. He even if it was just the outsiders, it could have gotten even bigger. But then you had all the guys to it, and Curt was great in the NWO. Heidi, Curt and Rick Rude were like, they were made for the NWO.
Yeah, but Hogan, I think Hall complained about this. They were doing the black and white promos. And Hogan tried to do the brother thing, which was 5 minutes. It's like, no, Hogan, you gotta be short, like 30 seconds and get out. They were doing, if you remember the ads, it's like this ad was paid for by the New World Order, and then they would do those like 30-second ads. But Hogan like went 5 minutes, like brother, and I'm like, yeah. And then finally they had to edit it down. They had to edit Hogan's promos down because he would keep doing it.
Right. Even the promo for Curt when he was in the NWO, Curt Hennig, he did a promo on the Nature Boy. Now, it was less than 4 minutes. It was only like maybe a minute.
Yeah.
But it was still, he got everything he wanted to say out about the Nature Boy, and that was right after Fall Brawl. So he's like, this cat ain't going nowhere. But he got the point across of who he was going to fight at Halloween Havoc.
But that's the way Hogan always cut his promos. He was used to, so he wasn't going to change by 97, 96, just because the NWO, because Hall and Nash had a different vision for the NWO than Hogan did. So it was like brother, 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 brother. He would cut these 4-minute promos and have to edit it down like 30 seconds because he just went off like, okay, look, Bischoff was like, fuck it, let's let him say what he wants and then we'll cut it down for the
Right.
ads. So for what he wanted to do, and that's what they did. They cut it down like 30 seconds, and he's like, yeah, he probably ruined the NWO the way Hall and Nash envisioned it because initially Bischoff said he wanted to turn Sting heel.
Right.
Sting supposed to be the third man, which wouldn't have made much sense because Sting was like WCW to his core. I mean, why would he betray WCW? But he didn't want to approach Hogan because he thought Hogan would say no again. So it's like, then finally Hogan was like, yeah, I'll do it because he saw.
And that's because Hogan saw something there. He saw something there,
Yeah, and he could leech off of it because he wasn't getting
Right.
over as a babyface.
Right.
I mean, he was getting booed. He's WCW champion, and they were pushing him like it was 1984, and Hulkamania is running wild when it wasn't by that point.
Yeah, Hulkamania was pretty much. And
was
I
dead.
said the only one who could kill Hulkamania was Hulk Hogan in '96, and that's exactly what he did.
He killed
So
it.
I mean,
because the WCW was used to the Ric Flair woo Southern type of wrestling. Here comes Hulk Hogan, the WWF champion, the top guy there.
yeah,
And he's trying to do the same shit that he did in New York, and it didn't work. They were
It didn't
booing him. So he needed to turn heel, and Bischoff knew that, but he wouldn't. Hogan said no in '95. So yeah, I mean, then
well, maybe Hogan in his infinite wisdom, only onto himself, thought that maybe he could still get over with the the Hulkamania stuff, but then when he saw the outsiders and the NWO start forming, he got this. Oh, okay, I see where this is going, and I have to have a piece of it.
Yeah,
I'm sure all those guys were like that.
Yeah, I mean, that it was so bad at one point that they had 4 limos driving up and like 40 guys were part of the NWO. I'm like,
yeah, but you have to say Curt Hennig was one of the best.
Yeah,
Him and Rick Rude made that group cool. They had the shades and they were all cool. They would strut and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of guys didn't fit. They didn't fit in the NWO because it was just like, okay, I mean, here's a T-shirt. You're in the NWO. Horace Hogan was in the NWO. I mean, Hogan's uncle, I think.
That's when it started getting ridiculous, and I didn't think he was really his nephew, but unfortunately he was.
Yeah, so Horace was in the NWO. Virgil was in the NWO. Vincent, he was Vincent. There were a bunch
that
of
was a stiff on Dusty. That
Virgil,
because Virgil is Dusty's real name, and then when he went to WCW,
they called him Vincent.
They called him Vincent after Vince.
Yep. So it was just too much for that point, and then they had the whole jobber stable version of the NWO because there were so many guys in it that I'm like, come on, man. I mean, this is now then they came up with the Latino World Order, and
yeah, it was just starting to get ridiculous at that point. And that's why Hogan sort of, I think, went back to the whole, I'm going to go back to the red and white or the yellow and red brother.
Yeah, because by 98, 99, as a surprise on Nitro, he came out with the red, white, like the yellow tights again. And he's, of course, he's WCW champion. Hogan always had that the world title, but yeah, I mean, that's a surprise, and everybody cheered. It popped because, like, oh wow, we haven't seen this in a few years. So
yeah, because I remember him coming out in,
What's
it was
up, Mace?
2000. Hey, BX. It was 2000, and they turned Luger and they turned Ric Flair heel, and of course Liz was an heel too, and they were supposedly breaking people's arms. Well, they weren't really, but
So yeah, I mean, after Hogan ruined,
but Curt, what I wanted to say, sorry to cut you off. The rest of that was, sorry, it just goes in my head and then out of my head. Curt was with him. He actually came out and saved Curt Hennig, and he made the comment when him and I were running the NWO like a bunch of thugs. I went, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Hogan ruined Starrcade '97. He ultimately was one of the major reasons why WCW went down. I mean, he got paid millions of dollars a year. Then he required like a $500,000 pay-per-view appearance fee just to appear, which was insane because he was getting a salary already. Why is like, oh yeah, brother, I need a fee to appear at the pay-per-views, and then he required like 15% of the gate of a pay-per-view whenever he main evented. So it was like. And then it was like we got to, because one of his contracts was included in a lawsuit that was filed. Either Hogan filed it or it was filed against him. That's why we know the details of his WCW contract because it was in a lawsuit. That's why I know they did like this is crazy. Like, and Hogan was old and past his prime at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
And
he should have
somehow,
left years ago, but of course they had the WrestleMania match with Rock and yada yada yada. How can we miss you if you don't go away? It's kind of like Flair. We wish you would go away, Flair, because you're literally embarrassing yourself at this point.
yeah, it wasn't good. Then then Hogan went back to WWF and they did the match with Rock, and then he did a match with Vince. And then he what else did he wrestle? He had to run as Mr. America. I remember that with the mask he had.
No, but I do remember he did come back briefly with the NWO with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash,
Which was 2002 when he made his return. When the story was, what was it? Vince? It was something. I think the kids were taking away the company from Vince. It was some story, and then it's like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna destroy my own creation with the NWO, you know. And that's when they brought in Hogan, Hall, and Nash. Hall didn't last long.
Wasn't that something with Stone Cold? Like, oh, Stone Cold, you made me do this. You made me bring in the NWO, and I was just like, first of all, you didn't create the NWO. WCW did.
Yeah,
Eric Bischoff did.
Yeah, Hall didn't last long because he was still having his issues with drugs and alcohol, and so Hogan turned babyface because that's what WWF fans wanted. So he was a babyface. Nash kind of reformed the NWO was Nash, Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, and Booker T, which was like a watered down version of the NWO, but that's what they did with Nash.
To be honest, I stopped watching.
Yeah,
I stopped watching when Curt kind of exited.
Yeah, so they did.
I have always been a big fan of Curt Hennig and Mr. Perfect, and I'm sorry, I just couldn't watch it anymore. Now, like I said, I have been putting feelers out because Tommy Dreamer had made a comment about his match with Curt, and it was one of the last ones Curt had, and I understand that it's very emotional when you lose someone like that, and I was just like, Tommy, if you ever want to talk about it with me, I'm here.
Yeah,
but it's something that I don't know. It just got old and stupid by the time Mr. Perfect was gone.
Yeah,
and then there's the whole plane ride from hell thing, which a lot of people should have gotten in trouble, and it just seemed like the only person to get in trouble was the person who didn't really do anything.
What's funny, again, Scott Hall was on that flight too. He never got in trouble for it. Actually, he didn't do anything. He was so drunk and that he just slept through the whole thing, which is why Hall wasn't really fired. But
well, he tried to lick a stewardess.
Well, I mean, like we got
that's what it was said.
We still have to do a deep dive on the play Ride from Hell. I mean, because because that's something that there's so much stuff and there's so many stories that.
And I promise not to cry too much.
Yeah, who was on the plane, who wasn't on the plane, who did what, who didn't do what. I mean, it was like it needs to happen, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Hall somehow got fired, not surprisingly, eventually, because he didn't last long. And then I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I mean, the NWO and WWF was just a failure.
But I mean, if Brock Lesnar, okay, so I understand that. I mean, Curt instigated it because he ribbed him. He ribbed Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I get that. I totally get that. But I mean, you don't take it to extremes. And Curt just wanted to teach him a lesson. He stomped on his foot, and Brock wasn't wearing any shoes, and Curt was. But I mean, even if it's a fight, Vince McMahon had just had a fight with Kurt Angle the same way on a different flight, and it just seemed like everyone blamed Kurt because Brock didn't get in trouble, Flair didn't get in trouble, Dustin Rhodes didn't get in trouble, even though like they did worse things than Kurt and Brock could have ever done.
Dustin literally commandeered the intercom at the plane and started singing some song to Terry, who was his
Terry
ex-wife
Reynolds,
then. In order to try to get her back, and it was embarrassing. Eventually, they had to.
Michael Hayes got his hair cut probably by X-Pac or
it was
Sean
X-Pac. It was X-Pac because he admitted to this on a shoot interview.
I was going to say they tried to blame Kurt. I don't know why they blamed Kurt. Why would Kurt cut his hair?
Because he was having issues with Michael Hayes, and Michael Hayes did something to somebody. He had a problem with it, so it was like
they always try to blame Kurt for everything, and that's not fair. That wasn't fair to Curt Hennig.
No,
and I think that's what led to bad things.
Yeah, it led to him being fired from WWF, and then he ended up in TNA, had that final match with David Flair. And then, he never wrestled again. But
too sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch those commercials too. Going.
So that was, and then X-Pac cut Michael Hayes' hair. Michael Hayes still works in WWE to this day. I mean, he's still there.
Is he a agent?
He's an agent producer, that they call him now.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, he's still there.
No, you don't kid.
Like, he's the only one that survived. Him and Bruce Pritchard, the only one that survived, like, the Vince McMahon purge. Because a lot of Vince's allies in WWE either got fired or they left on their own. Like, Kevin Dunn left on his own. He retired eventually. I mean, he retired, because I think he might have got caught up in that lawsuit. Because he was Vince's top lieutenant, so I'm sure he knew more than what he was telling. So he resigned. The only ones that survived were Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes been there since like the mid-90s when he was an interviewer, if you remember Doc Hendricks.
Yeah.
He's been there since like the mid-90s, so he's still there.
It is what it is. It's just Hulk Hogan making stuff up again. I mean, you said it yourself. We could do 3 or 4 episodes, of all the lies that Hogan did. That's it.
Yeah, and there's some funny ones. Like, for no reason. He claimed at one point that he worked 400 days in 1 year.
Which is impossible unless he, wrestled 3 or 4 times. And then made it to the same, a different show in a different city, which was impossible if he had been wrestling that much.
Yeah, he said he worked 400 days a year, and then 1 year, even though it was only 365, in a year. So allegedly, what his excuse was, well, I went back and forth from Japan to the U.S. then, and with the time zone difference, technically it's possible for me to work 400 days. That was his excuse when he got called out on it, because it was obviously bullcrap. And also, he claimed that what's his face? Harley Race came to a WWF show and set fire to the ring.
And
then
Jim Cornette was like, "No, why would he do that?"
And then he asked Hogan for a job.
Yeah,
it's in 1985 or something when they first went down to St. Louis to do a show.
And I've seen an interview with Harley Race. And Harley Race is like, no, I knew it was done. The WWF was just the last. It was an ending to a means. That's what he said.
The WWE. He asked Hogan for a job in '85, allegedly. Even though he would go work for Vince in 88 and become King Harley Race, but he didn't ask Hogan for a job. He asked Vince. He went straight to Vince, and Vince, of course, gave him the job because he wanted him in '84, before the first Starrcade. So why would he ask Hogan for a job? I mean, just go to Vince.
And Harley Race, he says they were hot in the 60s. So 65, him and Larry the Axe Hennig, who is Kurt's father, were actually the greatest tag team of the territory at the time. And that was in AWA. So during the 60s, I mean, they were a hot commodity. But then when Larry got hurt, unfortunately, that hot commodity kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. Yeah, just Hulk is like, really? Why would Harley Race ask you for a job after setting fire to one of Vince's rings allegedly?
Yeah, I
in
think
St.
Vince.
Louis.
I honestly think Vince would have him like escorted out, and I
Mhm.
definitely think he would be in jail after
Yeah,
that.
and but what apparently what Harley did do, he went to the show. He did go to the show, but he had a gun and he was yelling and screaming and drunk. He did do that, but he
Oh,
never went
okay.
inside. So, and Hulk was there because it was 85, it was a national expansion, and he would have been there. He was the main event, but yeah, so he didn't like Harley did go to the show and was pissed off and pulled a gun and stuff and was drunk.
But I mean,
But
yeah, he was drunk, and again, when you're 3 sheets to the wind, unfortunately, that doesn't.
Mhm.
Your filter is off, and you don't
Yeah.
think straight. Not that I'm giving excuses to Harley Race. He was
Yeah.
an acquired taste, but
Mhm.
again, when he was in his youth in '65, he was at the top of his game with Larry the Axe, and they were a great tag team.
Yeah. And what else? I mean, there's so many lies from Hogan that you lose track. You would have,
Those are your greatest hits, right?
yeah, those are basically the ones I can think of from the top of my head. And there are more, more absurd ones, but
Well, there you
yeah,
go. There's the latest lie from Hulk Hogan.
yeah,
Is that he apparently thought he was getting the Triple H gimmick, which didn't exist until '95 when they gave it to Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And yeah, I don't think Hogan could have pulled it off because
but
I
that's
don't see Hogan as a snob.
no. I mean, he wouldn't have turned heel. So yeah, Hulk did the whole. He just lying, straight up lying, but he doesn't need to lie. He's led such an interesting life and such an incredible life that just tell the truth.
That's what I think Brian Last said, or Jim
Yeah,
Cornette said.
you don't have
He's
to embellish
you don't
your
have to
life.
embellish. All you have to do is just tell the straight out story. Now, a lot of the guys embellished. Trust me. They they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted to make it a better
yeah.
story, but you don't have to flat out make stuff up.
They embellish some facts, but they don't flat out make up. Hogan always has to put himself in every story, in
That's
every
right.
great moment in wrestling history. He also claimed that Elvis Presley was a fan of his, and
Yeah, and that he was with
when he
Michael
was in Memphis.
Jackson
Hmm.
and was it Michael Jackson,
It was
Tyson?
it was him, Michael Jackson, and somebody else. They hung out in London before his
No, not
show in
Tyson. It
Wembley.
was I pity the fool, Mr.
Yeah,
T.
Mr. T. It was Michael Jackson, him, and Mr. T hanging
And
out in London.
he wasn't even on the card. He did not
No, he
wrestle that
wasn't.
night.
That was SummerSlam '92, and he wasn't even on the card. He wasn't
He,
even in London.
he wasn't even in London.
So he's just lying again. So he claimed that also the song Hulkster in Heaven, that was the whole London, another lie about London too, where the
That kid
boy,
expired.
yeah, the boy died during it, either during or right before his main event, and he
Right, and
smelled the dead body.
he wasn't even there. He
And
wasn't
he
even on
smelled the
the
dead
card.
body allegedly, during the
Yeah.
match. Like,
Like, you know what
come
that
on,
smells like,
Hulk.
huh?
Yeah, come on, Hulk. It's just it's just absurd lie after absurd lie, and then it's like, if Hogan did a podcast, you wouldn't believe. What would you believe of any of his stories? I mean, it's like, oh, let's list all of Hogan's lies, and that's
Mhm.
basically what it. That's why I never did a podcast. I mean, I don't think does he have a podcast? I don't. Yeah, all these wrestlers do now. So like,
Yeah, but I don't think Hogan does. But let's move on to Liv Morgan. She seems to have a more
mhm.
interesting story to tell here. Apparently, this is the body cam footage of Liv Morgan's arrest was released today. The
Yeah,
fact
it
that
was
the
released.
officer, blah blah blah, you can read that
Yeah,
there,
the
was
fact
reading her
and
journal and going through her wrestling gear. Reading her
yeah,
journal. She had a journal. What is this? The '90s? Or she got a
yeah,
diary?
she
Dear
had.
diary, I got arrested today. Oh, I'm not supposed to put that.
Yeah, I mean, she apparently keeps a diary and talks. I haven't. This is a minute long clip. The full video is like 30 minutes long, but I'm not gonna go through. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. But yeah, this is. This is the relevant part, basically. That's her diary right there. So
Why was she carrying it?
I don't know. I mean, that's a
Okay.
good question.
Your reward, good karma. Legend planner. Buy many houses, transition into Hollywood, Oscar Award winner, WWE Hall of Fame. We have to ask her if she's into wrestling. Multiple time WWE champion.
You hear that? They didn't even know who she is because they basically have to. They want to ask her, "Oh, is she a wrestling fan?" They don't even know who she is. They have no clue who she is because
Can I ask why are they? First of all, who carries their journal or diary in your car? Second, why are they in your car? What was the reason they gave to be in her car?
Well, they arrested her for possession of marijuana.
Oh, marijuana. Okay.
Which
So
apparently was a
automatically
bait.
they say they don't need a search warrant anymore. Now they can just bust in your
It's
car
probable
and
cause.
search it.
It's probable cause.
Oh
Since
yeah,
Florida,
so is my behind.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and they.
I don't like cops. Picky cops. I hate
And
them.
then they're allowed to search through everything in your car, and they
Without a
go
warrant.
through. They go
Sorry.
through a diary.
Ouch.
They went through a wrestling gear also too. They didn't realize who she was. That's why it's like they ask, "Oh, they want to ask her if she's a wrestling fan," because even though they don't realize who she is yet.
Widely successful podcast, home in another country, voice over work. To be happy, stay healthy. I wonder if she made it to the WWE or...
Yeah, she did.
You're really
Interesting.
There was a check for $7,000 something.
Yeah, what you're gonna take.
so she may do some...
Oh, wait.
What you're gonna take.
They found a check for $7,000. I guess.
Yeah, and they'll
her
take
WWE
it. They
pay.
would take it from her. They were doing. Dutch Mantel talks about this, that you can only go with so much cash in your bag when you're going through customs and stuff. And if you have more than that, you know what? They take it. They take it from you. That's bull, guys. Bull. That is literally thievery. That is legalized thievery from the cops.
Because they don't want like U.S. currency going outside the country, or especially
bull.
you're traveling
That's
outside the
bull.
country.
You know what they really want? They just want to steal money so that they can build up their precincts, so they can do more stuff for the rich people. I'm sorry, Angel, but I don't like cops. I hate piggy cops. They are lapdogs for the rich people. They hate poor people.
Then there's like, oh, they found this. Oh, did she make it to wrestling? $7,000 check. I mean,
So
they
she
had
must be a peasant to them.
Yeah.
Do some wrestling work.
You must do wrestling work.
The name doesn't sound familiar, though. Well.
Oh yeah.
Poor girl.
SmackDown.
Oh yeah, SmackDown.
Holy shit. Let me see.
Oh, let me see.
She got a little wrestler card?
You got a wrestler card?
Holy shit. I know who she is.
I know who she is.
I know who she is. But I'm going to still arrest her.
Liv Morgan.
Yeah, she's Liv Morgan. That's right.
Well, I'll be damned.
Welcome
to Sumter County.
Welcome to Sumter County. Yeah, so that's
piggy cops.
That's the more relevant part of the thing. They arrested her for possession because she had a vape in her car.
Look, I understand. Weed will never be legal because the tobacco industry and the alcohol industry rule the world. Okay, I get that. And they want people to get liver failure from alcohol and die from cancer from cigarettes. I get that. I get that's what you want, tobacco and alcohol, guys. But guess what? Marijuana is actually better for you than the freaking poison that they have. It's called prescription drugs. It's called painkillers. They got a bunch of wrestlers addicted to painkillers, and what happened? They started using more heavier drugs. So actually, painkillers are the gateway drug, not marijuana. Marijuana comes from the freaking ground. It comes from the ground, comes from plants, and literally is better for you than this bullshit painkiller shit that they were pushing on athletes to begin with. And then they were trying heroin and even heavier drugs than that. I'm sorry. This gets me riled up every time. The poor woman just had marijuana. If she had heroin, that's one thing. But the woman had marijuana. Marijuana is good for pain, you freaking idiots. But they're lapdogs for the rich. Oh, we found a peasant who thinks she's a wrestler.
Yeah, they found a vape in her. Oh, they smelled marijuana. I mean, then and then they found a vape in her car, which she later claimed it wasn't hers; it was somebody else's. So I guess
Even if
another
it was
wrestler left
hers.
her. They
I
left a
mean,
vape in her car. One of the other wrestlers.
but even if it was hers, I feel for her
Mm-hmm.
because now
Yeah.
she's gonna go to jail for what? For a non-violent drug offense. I mean, a non-violent crime. She didn't hurt anybody. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Nobody. In fact, she probably is using it for pain, like
Yeah.
most of the
Probably.
wrestlers did back in our day too.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is just
So she was charged with possession of marijuana, for personal use, which is a misdemeanor. But
is
I
she
don't
a
know whether.
WWE? She is a WWE person, right? She's not in
Yeah,
AEW.
no. She's a WWE wrestler.
Okay,
Yeah. That's why they said, even though, to be fair, nobody knows what AEW is unless you're in the wrestling community. So it's like,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like they would say WWE even though she
And
was an
now they're going to
AEW
ruin her
wrestler.
life. The WWE is going to drop her because they have to have zero tolerance when it comes to that stuff.
Well, to be fair, they haven't dropped her yet. She appeared on Raw or SmackDown last week, so they're keeping her around. And since she's in the main event program with Becky Lynch, or she's about to be,
Okay. When did she get arrested?
December.
Oh, okay, so this is before.
Yeah, the
Okay,
body
I'm
cam just
sorry.
came out recently, so they didn't
But
fire her. It's just
okay, but I'm glad they didn't fire her. But again, this is the same old pattern, the same old
Mhm.
thing, and we're literally being, the fact that you would have a plant that helps you and helps your body, and is it's good for pain, it's good for sleep, it's good for a lot of things. There's a lot of benefits you can get from not only just weed itself, but I mean cannabis. And even
yeah,
if you use the CBD, that's good pain relief. It's better than those painkillers. Those painkillers are poison, Angel. I'm
hmm
sorry, I get very upset about this because this is what a lot of the wrestlers, not including Curt, because I mean Curt was
yeah,
on Percocet, but again, these painkillers were designed for those wrestlers because literally, oh well, this takes away your pain. No, it didn't. It freaking killed you because you
yeah.
got addicted
It's
to it and then you started doing heavier things.
yeah. Basically, it masks your pain. They really take it away. It's
Yeah,
just like
you
temporary
had
masking.
breakout pain, which was pain. That's what
Yeah.
Jimmy Dore will always say. It was
hmm
pain.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's Liv Morgan getting arrested, and I don't know what the resolution of that case or not, whether it got a resolution or not.
Well, if
So
they were
I
in her
assume.
bag, I can see keep it journal in your bag. I can see that. But I mean, if you just have it like laying willy-nilly in your car,
hmm
girl, don't put your diary in the car. Keep it in your bag. But I mean, like I said, when we were talking about the whole, you could only go through customs with like when
hmm
you were coming back into the country. Dutch
Yeah.
Mantel said you could only have it had to be less than 10,000. It's probably less now because
Yeah.
everybody, all the rich people want us on digital currency so they can tell us what to buy and what not to buy. And I say pack a lunch because I ain't
Yeah.
doing it.
Well,
But I
the
mean,
issue was wrestlers would carry cash because they got paid in cash for the most part,
right, when they would go to
especially in the
Japan, they
territory
would get paid
days. Yeah.
in cash, and if you came back with more than like 10,000, they would actually take
Yeah.
it from you. They
hmm
would take it from you. And what would they do
Yeah.
with it? Build up their precincts. They would
hmm
buy all this
They,
expensive stuff. But that's theft. That is legalized theft in this
yeah. They.
country.
Yeah, I mean, they know. I mean, it's. I was surprised by that. I was like, oh wow. I mean, because back in the territory days, wrestlers got, for the most part, got paid in cash. So yeah, I was shocked by that, and I was like, wow. I'm not surprised that they would just take money from people, but yeah, I
Oh
mean, I
boy,
wanted.
Jaguars.
Yeah, just to get this. This really pissed me off because it's like, anyways, the Jaguars in the city of Jacksonville unveiled their $1.4 billion Stadium of the Future proposal. That's not the issue. The stadium itself looks beautiful. I mean, or at least the way they're, because this is a remodeling. This is not really a building a brand new stadium.
Yeah, but excuse me, guess who pays for it?
Yeah, in fact, here it is right here. The city pays 775 million, and the Jaguars gonna raise the rest of it 625.
Why can't the person who literally owns it, who probably has $1 billion, doesn't Papa Khan have over $1 billion?
Yeah, he's
He
a
can pay for it his freaking self.
He's a
That's why Jesse
multi-billionaire.
Ventura, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but
No,
I mean,
no.
this pisses me off too.
Yeah,
Because
this.
literally, we're the poor people. We are the peasants. And these rich people are just like, let the peasants pay for it. Yeah, like there's people out there who don't have a home. They're sleeping on the freaking street, and you want a freaking new football stadium. Jesse Ventura talked about this when he was governor. He had the owner of the stadium of the Minnesota Vikings said,
Maybe the
yeah, we want a
Minnesota
new
Vikings.
stadium. And he said, okay, good. What are you going to pay for it? He goes, I'm not going to pay for it. The peasants are. And Jesse said, well, there's the door. Have a nice day. See ya. You have have millions of dollars. There's people out there who living on the freaking streets ain't got a home. We ain't got a house. Ain't got a car. So what exactly are you trying to take more from us?
Yeah, the Vikings did threaten to move. And Jesse called their bluff. Like, okay, move. It was like, of course they didn't move.
But at least
They
the
didn't move.
taxpayers don't have to pay for your bullshit.
That's the classic threat from these owners. Oh yeah, well I'm going to move the team then if you don't give me money for
That's why there's two in Los Angeles now. So LA Rams and the LA Chargers.
But they built they both play in the same stadium. So then they built two separate stadiums. But SoFi Stadium costs like $1.7 billion. It's a beautiful stadium. It's an over the top opulent stadium like this is. Like this planned stadium or the planned renovation. Look at this. Look at this. Look at it's kind of absurdly opulent. Like that's the stadium there, and that's all the infrastructure around it.
I'm sorry, Angel. I can't. This just makes me even more mad that they want us to pay for that.
Yeah, they want the taxpayer to pay it.
You make billions of dollars, Papa Khan. And your team sucks. They all suck because the NFL, let's face it, has become the WWE. All your teams suck. They're all actors, overpaid, and they don't even know how to really play football. They're told what to do. Did you see that one video where the guy goes like this and then the other guy pretends to tackle him and he goes underneath? Because the guy went like this? That's like a signal to them. Hey, don't tackle me. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the NFL's all rigged.
These stadiums are just ridiculously opulent, and this is a scam, by the way. It's a scam because a lot of owners
again going.
Because a lot of owners
make the peasants pay for everything.
Yeah, a lot of owners do this.
I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm not saying the cons are doing this, but a lot of owners do this. They buy teams. They spend they spend a few $100 million. They buy a team. Then they demand the taxpayers to build a brand new stadium for them. It increases the team's value. And then they turn around and sell that team and make a 10 times the profit that they paid for the original team.
And how much did Bill Maher pay for the Mets? He's part owner of the Mets.
Oh, I don't know about Bill Maher being a part owner of the Mets, but he must be a small partner. It's like he's the main owners.
All I know is that a few years ago, I don't know if he still is, but a few years ago he was a part of the Mets. He bought them.
Yeah, he bought a piece probably because he's not a billionaire. He's rich, but he's not that rich to fully buy a baseball team.
He's still in the club.
Yeah,
big club, you guys, and we ain't in it.
The current scam is the Oakland Athletics, the baseball out of Oakland into Las Vegas. They're gonna get built.
Did he sell the Mets? I don't know. I just know that he had a piece of him.
Yeah, the Oakland Athletics they're moving from Oakland to Vegas, and they want a brand new stadium, and they're going to get it.
Of course,
and the owner bought the team for a few $100 million, and now I guarantee you, as soon as you get that stadium built, he's going to sell the team.
Meanwhile, we got people living under every bridge, like Jimmy Dore said.
Vegas spent over $1 billion to build the Raiders stadium, that big football stadium for the Raiders.
LA Raiders, yeah. Or not LA Raiders, Las Vegas, sorry. Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. So
yeah, but Vegas, I mean, no offense. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you get to the mob and then you're never seen again. The mob Raiders, is still running the Las Vegas, and it doesn't surprise me that they made the residents of when he comes back, that he made they made Las Vegas. How do I put this? So, Las Vegas Raiders their citizens are kind of like the high rollers, and again, this all goes down to what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you meet the mob, and then you're never seen again. So this infuriates me to no end. And guys, sorry, he'll be back on as soon as his computer. I promise I will get his computer to him, which is my old computer. I'm going to send it to him Monday, so hopefully he'll get it next week sometime. Anyway, it's not right what they're doing. It's definitely not right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was still ranting while you were kind of gone.
Yeah, I lost connection. I think it happened to me because I had to reload. But yeah, I mean, I'm back.
Well, I actually, I hate to cut this short, but I do have to go to the bathroom. But I mean, do you have anything else we need to go over real quick?
I mean, what else? It was one more thing, but
okay, go ahead.
I don't remember
I'm
right
sitting
now.
down. I can.
Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom too, but
you were drinking that beer again, weren't ya?
Well, no, right now I have water, which it was earlier.
I think I need a taste test. Give it over.
But yeah, I mean, it's just what was it? It was. Let me see, because if I forgot, it probably wasn't important, but
that's what my dad says. If I forgot,
yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that Darby Allin in the main event of this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Even though he got run over by a bus.
In the face.
Yeah. Real quick. Yeah, this is it. Give me a couple of minutes. WrestleMania initially was supposed to be in Minnesota. But at the last second, of course, here comes Vegas to offer the WWE $5 million in free money to move the show to Vegas.
Interesting.
And of course, WWE did. So let me
guess
see.
what, Minnesota? Go yourself.
Yeah.
That's basically what they just said.
Yeah. So the WrestleMania is now supposed to be in Vegas at April 19th and 20th. They gave them $5 million in free money. 20th. Yeah, they're gonna hold it later next year.
Week.
Next year.
Next year, I mean.
In Allegiant Stadium, which is of course the Raiders. The Raiders football stadium.
April 20th is my
birthday. That'd be night two.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, so Las Vegas stole WrestleMania from Minnesota. So yeah,
hey,
so that's
Minnesota, we love you, but not that much. Like I said, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you meet the mob, and then you're basically, and then we never see you again.
Well, yeah, I think we can wrap up there because I got nothing else to talk about unless you want to say something real quick.
No, I think I've flared enough. But thank you, Coco. I mean, that stuff.
Yeah.
The drug thing was literally the painkillers were designed, and Big Pharma did this knowingly. They knew that their painkillers were poison and would get their wrestlers addicted, and it did. And
it's too easy. It's too easy to get painkillers because I went to a doctor about a shoulder pain, and the first thing she did was prescribe me naproxen. And in fact, I have like 5 bottles of naproxen. They keep renewing it for some reason. And I didn't ask them to do it, but I don't drink them, but just sitting there, I don't know, collecting dust.
When I had surgery on my shoulder because I was in softball when I was in high school, and I had a lot of pain and some fibro tissue because I pitched every inning of every game except for like 2 innings of one game. And so fibro tissue in the back of my shoulder tore, and I had to have orthoscopic surgery on it. And because of that, they gave me like a knockoff of Vicodin. Again, people were getting addicted to Vicodin. Now I didn't because I still had pain. I mean, I was still in pain. And of course I had my arm in a sling and had to learn how to put my bra on with one hand. Try doing that, ladies. It's not so easy, is it? But I did it, and I'm very ambidextrous, so I can write with both hands. Shut up, all you men. I know what you're thinking. Don't think it. Okay. It's just a new talent that you kind of had to learn as, I had my arm in a sling for 4 to 6 weeks. But I mean, so I've had that sort of, knockoff of Vicodin because again, people were getting addicted to Vicodin and trying other drugs to get that high.
Yeah, I had ankle surgery because I would play basketball regularly, and I twisted my left ankle multiple times, and I did it in 2 games in a row. I mean, my ankle was swollen at the time. This is the '90s, so there's a lot of pressure to keep playing even if you were hurt. So it's like because they need you on the court. The team needs you. Okay, sure. Oh, I twisted my
Yeah, just
ankle
shake it off.
again.
Shake it off. Shake it
Yeah, I
off.
could the
Shake
second
it
time or
off.
the third. I think it was the third time. I couldn't really walk on it. It was bad. It was like that swollen, and it took 10 years. I didn't operate until like 10 years later. Didn't operate on it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have insurance, and I wasn't going to pay out of pocket, so I just
Oh
dealt.
no.
And finally, I was able to get Medicaid because of the Obamacare expansion, and I finally got surgery on it.
I was able to get that, not Medicaid, but medical assistance, because
Uh-huh.
I'm technically, to the government, I'm a single mother, because I haven't
Yeah.
really gotten married. We're engaged, but we're there, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
husband and wife, even though we're not on paper.
Uh-huh.
We act like husband and wife, but I mean, it's what it is, and we
Mhm.
will be, one day we will
Yeah.
be, but yeah, because I'm technically a single mother in the eyes of the government, I can
Mhm.
get medical assistance, which really helps.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does
Yeah.
help. I've been able to get things for my son that I don't get for myself, but he's more
Yeah.
important. He's my son.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we can leave it there because I do have to go to the bathroom
I
and
do too.
my computer is dying and it's almost 10 anyway. So, all right, well, that'll do it for this episode of Pro Wrestling Talk. Everybody enjoyed. Give it a like if you haven't already. Please share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I mean, Miss Witchy's links are all down there too. So make sure you give her a follow and like her stuff and subscribe to her too.
I
So,
have more good things coming. I just finished episode 38 of my podcast. We do the knee versus knee match, which is it's back in Portland, so it's 1982, July 3rd, 1982. It's Buddy
mhm.
Rose and Curt Hennig in Portland Wrestling. And again, it was, knee versus knee match, which is hard to kind of comprehend, but I do a
Yeah.
couple of WCW stuff. I think 30, we're up on 34 now, episode 34. I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry, I apologize. Whatever episode 34 is, I will definitely talk about it. But we do have some WCW stuff coming up. WCW match with Jeff Jarrett, and then the next match is with, of course, I think that's 36, and then 37 is the Giant. The
Yeah.
WCW match Curt had with the Giant. So we have that coming up. This Monday for Black Magic Talk, we have a special guest from California. He is an author that Matt Collins knows. So I'll let
Okay.
kind of Matt, I'll just kind of do like generalization
Uh-huh.
questions and
Yeah.
then let Matt kind of take over the questioning.
Okay.
But that should be uploaded like Tuesday this coming week, because unfortunately I have to work open to close every day this week because my boss is
Yeah.
taking off. But I will try to get that uploaded as fast as I can.
Yeah.
But check that out. Also, I'll see you right back here next Saturday for Pro Wrestling Talk
Mhm.
episode 15.
Yeah. And Mastermind. I mean, I think the issue with my mic also is I have a Chromebook, which I can't really adjust the settings on my mic.
I
So,
promise Monday,
Mhm.
I was telling the audience this, that Monday the computer will go out. I was having some
Yeah.
issues with the FedEx website. It was really
Okay, that's
stupid.
fine. I appreciate that, but yeah, I can't adjust the settings on the mic because the Chromebook, the app, the program, in order to adjust the settings and make it perfect, just doesn't exist on Chromebooks.
Perfect.
So,
Watch I use that
yeah,
word.
yeah, to make it correct, to make it, correct for, and also
I'm
I
just
think,
kidding.
when I get this close, my headphones get, it
Yeah,
gets,
like it interferes with the headphones.
yeah,
Whereas I got the earbuds. That's
yeah.
my claim to fame.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what's going on, I think, Mastermind. So hopefully by next week, I'll have a better computer, a Windows computer, able to adjust this stuff.
Yes,
But
Windows 10. Sorry, yeah, Windows 10.
it's fine. Yeah, as long as I can download the program, I should be able. It's perfect. All right. Well,
There's
until
that word again.
all right, until next week. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, by the way, Angel in the Afternoon is every Friday at 7, and Pro Wrestling Talks every Saturday at 8.
Yeah,
So
check
this
out
week's
Angel in the
Mhm.
Afternoon, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Check it out, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mastermind. Yeah, I think moving the mic back I'm sure helps. So I'll see you guys next week. So have a nice weekend and peace out.